This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. What is going on, guys? This is Rob Carbone coming at you with episode 89 of BD4 tonight, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. So if you haven't watched last night's episode, tune into that. It was pretty fun. First time doing the podcast live last night, where we streamed MLB The Show. We're starting a little mini series called Hibernation Frustration, where I'm just going to stream a couple of games on the PlayStation 4, NBA, 2K, MLB The Show, and just talk about the state of sports, really, and all that's going on. But really quick tonight, I guess I just wanted to give you a little bit of a Knicks update. Just chat Knicks a little bit for episode 89 of BD4. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate the support I'm getting, on all the different platforms. Thank you guys for following along. For those of you who follow my page on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I appreciate that. For those of you who have subscribed to BD4 on all the different platforms, thank you for that. We're up to over a dozen platforms. All the major platforms. BD4, you can subscribe to that on iTunes, on Google, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, Radio Public. The video cast is on YouTube. If you're watching it right now, then thank you for that. And there's many more platforms that you can subscribe to. And you can find all that information, all my social media platforms and all the podcast platforms on my website, which is located at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Once again, that's nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. You can go to that website. That's my blog called It's My Opinion, where it has a tab called Outlets. Just click on that tab and it'll give you, all the different outlets and platforms that you need to reach me and to subscribe and follow me. So make sure to do that before you guys do anything else tonight. But yeah, so with this whole thing going on, with the I'm not even going to say the word because, again, I'm sick of hearing this. I'm sick of hearing about this word, and I've heard it for months now. Well, not months, but for weeks. It's the what has been going around, and it's halted sports. So we're taking a break from basketball. Baseball's not yet going to start up. The NHL's locking down. All sports are locking down, and there's nothing left on TV besides, I don't know, maybe I saw something on the internet the other day, marble racing. Maybe I'll get into that. But hey, all the more reason to tune into my new series, Hibernation Frustration, which we will stream PlayStation 4 games a couple times a week and talk Yanks, talk Knicks, talk sports, whatever it is that we're going to touch on. But yeah, as for the Knicks, their season is likely over, right? You have to think that, with what the NBA released a few days ago, with what they released a few days ago about the season, earliest start is late June, is what I heard. The earliest time to start up again will be somewhere mid to late June. So you look at that, and then that's a timeline where we don't have much time to do much. They're probably going to head straight into the playoffs, best case scenario here. So that leaves the Knicks with another terrible, terrible season. Another 20-something win season at best, where they were 21-45 this year. That's like a 31% winning clip. Don't quote me on that. I'm just calculating off the top of my head. But nonetheless, it wasn't a good year. And again, wasn't just about the wins, wasn't just about the losses and all that stuff. It was about developing your young roster and getting your kids to improve. And just it was supposed to be all about player development this season, like it always is when you're a young team who's not going to win many games. But unfortunately, the Knicks, they don't see it that way. They gave their, the front office at the start of the year gave the mandate, to reach the playoffs, and it seems like they were too stubborn enough to shy away from that, and that was their goal the entire year. It had Mike Miller coaching for his job. It got David Fizdale fired. Steve Mills was fired. It was a very eventful year for the Knicks. Not in a good way, right? We also had the whole James Dolan, a couple more incidents with James Dolan. Obviously the Spike Lee thing most recently. We had the Steve Stout thing on ESPN First Take. So it was not pretty, guys. Not a good year for the Knicks on the court and off the court. It seems like today they're just never in headlines for the right reasons. If there are two bright spots, it's that they do have they have two players right now where you can look at on this roster and say, at least they are somewhat promising, and at least these two guys are developing upward. They could be, the Knicks should still be doing a better job developing these two guys in particular that I'm talking about, but these two players have still progressed more than the other guys on this roster, and I think we all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the two franchise cornerstones on this basketball team in R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. Now, R.J. Barrett had himself a good rookie season. Sometimes I kind of feel like he's underrated in a sense. This is a guy who averaged just under 15 points. His little hot binge lately got his efficiency numbers up a little more. So he's over 40% from the floor now, and 32% from three, and the free throws in the 60s. So the efficiency is not great. It wasn't great, but that's never something I really pay too much attention to for a 19-year-old rookie. Okay, let's remember this kid's 19. Because like I said, he did all the things you wanted to see a rookie do. He had, first and foremost, R.J. Barrett has this poise to him, I guess you could say. He just looks so confident out there, and he looks like he's unfazed. Like nothing bothers him. So he was so cool, calm, and collected out there this season, despite the up and downs and the inconsistencies. I thought he did a very good job handling himself. But like I said, his numbers weren't bad. You're a 19-year-old kid, and you're dropping almost 15 points and 5 rebounds to go with some really above-average defense as well, which has been another underrated aspect of his game. So I think he did a very good job. He made a name for himself, at least. If the Knicks were a better team than 21-45, I believe that R.J. Barrett would have been, talked about more. Not that he was a serious contender for Rookie of the Year. I think Ja Morant has locked that up. If not, it's Zion, which it shouldn't be. But R.J. Barrett has at least, if the Knicks were at least a decent team, if he was on another team doing this, I think he would, at least be talked about more. So I think it was a strong year for him. A good way to introduce himself to the NBA. Very much like he was at Duke when, where his strengths were creating with the ball in his hands, attacking the rim, creating space, to get his jump shots, as opposed to, he's not a shooter. So I think the one thing the Knicks definitely need to stress next season with R.J. Barrett is giving him more space to work and stop using him as much as they did as a spot-up shooter, as a floor spacer, and use him more as a shot-creating slasher type of player where he creates with the ball in his hands. Not that he's necessarily ball-dominant. He's very good off the ball. He's very good at, at those backdoor cuts and coming, cutting around screens and stuff. but you get the best out of him when he's creating with the ball in his hands. And I think the Knicks need to realize that more. They didn't always optimize his talents. But overall, I like the season I got from RJ Barrett. Again, we're going to have a report card soon on his season. And, we'll dive right into everybody else, and we'll have a report card on the entire roster, just like we do every month with a progress report. We will have a final report as soon as, we get the official news that the, whatever format they're going to stick with the NBA. But I liked what I saw from RJ. Mitchell Robinson, I also liked what I saw. I thought he progressed nicely. Again, this is a guy who, in his second season, he averaged 10 points, almost 10 points, and 7 rebounds. And he did all this, averaged 10, 7, and 2 blocks in just 23 minutes a night. So, you take into account, this guy continues to improve. So he's a walking double-double. If they eventually let this guy get minutes and they eventually start this kid, he's somebody who can win. I definitely see him contending for Defensive Player of the Year consistently over the years. And I think he's going to be a guy who can definitely put up numbers like 15 and 10 to go with 2, 3, 4 blocks a night. I really think he's got that Hassan Whiteside, DeAndre Jordan, Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert type game, that defensive-minded, shot-blocking presence who brings offense through pick and roll and throwing down the lob and things like that, running as a screener. So I think he's going to improve. I think he'll continue to improve, offensively, but he is a little restricted right now. Obviously, he doesn't have much of a package other than, rolling off the screen and roll and throwing down the lobs. He has a nice form to his shot, though. We've seen the free throw. He's had some nice moments at the free throw line. It looks like he's got the form to where he can at least be an adequate shooter for a big man. But part of me thinks the Knicks are restricting him. I know he says, Mitchell Robinson actually said at the start of the season that he was going to shoot some threes this year. He didn't attempt any. And I kind of think the Knicks are restricting him there, and they're kind of telling the front office is kind of influencing the decisions here and not allowing him to shoot as much. Maybe that's a reach, but I think that's just my opinion. But I thought Mitchell Robinson had a strong season elsewhere. Otherwise, he again 10, 7, and 2 is nothing to laugh at when you're playing 23 minutes a night. This is a guy who's every time he gets 30 plus minutes too, he's a double-double. We see him put these double-double numbers up in these games where he does play extended time. And a lot of it is the foul issues, so you can understand that. He still has some trouble, maintaining his discipline defensively. But as the season progressed, towards the end of this season for the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson did improve in fouling. And the Knicks, though, still kind of limited his minutes. They still didn't start him first and foremost, but they just still limited him to 15, 20, 25 tops minutes out there, even in games where he doesn't foul. There comes a point where you just want to see them let this kid fly, or just throw him out there, see what he can do when he's given 35 minutes, test his durability, test his discipline, as I've said, and just let him go out there and play ball, man. Let him hoop. And, really, I just wish they did that more this season with all of their kids. Let them fucking hoop. Because we didn't see Alonzo Trier nearly as much as we should have. We didn't see Damian Dotson nearly as much as we should have. Frank Ntilikina was backing up Elfrid Payton. Frank Ntilikina at times was backing up Dennis Smith Jr. It just using him as a third option. It just doesn't make sense. The decision making here, again, whether that be the front office, whether that be Mike Miller coaching for wins and for his job and for his future, I don't know. But it's got to stop, and you hope that Leon Rose next season influences more there and starts to take over and doesn't become shy. Once he becomes more comfortable in this organization, maybe we start to see those moves more, and maybe the Knicks start to force their Leon Rose starts to force things a little bit and starts to make his to make his presence known, and the kids start playing more and they develop their foundation. I don't know, maybe that happens, but it wasn't good in terms of player development this year, man. And we just got too many, whether that be not putting players in position to succeed, playing them with the wrong lineups. Bobby Portis shouldn't be playing with Kevin Knox at the same time. RJ Barrett shouldn't be sharing the floor with Julius Randle as much as he did. RJ Barrett and Taj Gibson shouldn't have been a tandem that paired longer on the floor together than RJ and Mitch. That should not have happened. Frank Ntilikina and Mitchell Robinson should have been paired together more. Elfrid Payton and Julius Randle, not a good matchup to have because they ice everybody else out when they're on the floor together. How many times are we going to see Elfrid and Randle play patty kick and pick and roll or pick and pop? And RJ's out here standing outside the three-point line waiting for a spot-up shot. Because, again, that's not who RJ Barrett is. So it's just things like that. Putting players in position to succeed. Playing players the amount of minutes they should be playing. And just, getting everybody out there. Not just 1, 2, 3 guys that are under 25 playing, but your entire youth out there. Stop playing Mo Harkless like he's the future. Stop treating Taj Gibson like he's your starting franchise center. Stop doing the same things with Elfrid Payton, with Bobby Portis, who's on a 2-year deal unguaranteed. Same with Payton, Gibson, Ellington. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's something I think the Knicks really haven't taken a step upwards with. So that's got to change. Hey guys, Rob Carbone here. Really quick, I just want to talk to you about Anchor. Anchor is a free podcast hosting site, and I say that again, it's a free podcast hosting site that will distribute your podcast for you to other platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Overcast, and all those websites. But here's the best part. Not only is it free, not only do they share it for you, but they will pay you for recording a podcast. They will pay you. And you can do it from your computer, from your phone. All you have to do is go to the Anchor app and download that, or go to their website, which is anchor.fm, to begin. It's everything you need. It is so convenient for podcasters like myself. So please, guys, go download the Anchor app or go to their website, anchor.fm, to begin. See you there. And we're already starting to get rumors about, Chris Paul, about DeMar DeRozan, and maybe a couple other guys joining the Knicks in free agency. Not that any of them are standout players at this point in their careers. Chris Paul is still a very serviceable point guard at the very least, and DeMar DeRozan's a solid player. But I'm not sure I want any of them. DeMar DeRozan maybe could be a good player to have because I think RJ Barrett has a similar mold. I think, I've always said RJ Barrett has the floor of one DeMar DeRozan. So maybe that'd be a good player to have to help RJ grow his game and expand a little bit. And maybe same goes for Chris Paul and, with Frank Ntilikina in the point guard role. And maybe Dennis Smith Jr. too while he's here. But at the same time, I just feel like the Knicks don't need to take any shortcuts right now. And I feel like adding an all-star before setting your foundation is kind of the wrong move. You're just going to disgruntle them even further, especially with somebody like Chris Paul, who, if you guys remember, at the start of the season, before the season began, he didn't want to play for the Thunder because he thought they were going to be He thought they were going to be a team who were rebuilding and weren't going to win many games. But obviously they've overachieved, so that narrative has changed. But, you can't say the same with the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be bad next season. And Chris Paul, at 35 years old, he's not going to want to play for the Knicks. Who's to say he's going to be motivated enough to be this good leader with the Knicks? And I'm sure he'll be good. He'll put up the numbers and he'll be good. He'll be a nice player to have. But he's not gonna want to be here with nobody around him. And it's not going to make much of a difference. One player like that. So I feel like the same thing goes for DeMar DeRozan. I feel like the Knicks should focus on drafting your players and developing the players that you draft, and focus on setting your foundation before you chase free agency first. Because if we learned anything from last summer, that's exactly why Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are sitting in Brooklyn right now, or New Jersey. But yeah. So I just think the Knicks need to learn from that mistake and get some competent basketball. Put a good product, a decent product even, out on the court first before you try to chase stars and shit. Because I don't think it's gonna work like that. Karl Anthony Towns was disgruntled because his team isn't winning. I just feel like stars today are very what's the word? Egotistical maybe, but they're very they want to win. And they don't care what their reputation looks like. They just want to win any way they can, So I think you need to, in order to satisfy them and in order to keep them happy and to make it work, you need to establish some kind of competence first in your organization. So maybe we take a step back and don't chase anybody like that yet. Let Leon Rose do his thing this offseason, and hopefully we can get somebody in the draft who helps us, maybe a point guard. I'm not necessarily sure where we are in the tankings, right? In the tank rankings, the tank standings. But it's not good. They're going to be a lottery team once again. They're not going to be the number one pick because when are we ever? But they are going to be a lottery team. You hope that the Knicks can strike a decent point guard from this draft and just somebody to start our rebuild process, because it feels like we still haven't started this shit yet. And I'm not necessarily sure, because I'm not a big NCAA guy. I'm not really sure then who's out there in this draft. I know people are talking about LaMelo Ball. I know Cole Anthony has been in rumors. There's been a couple other guys who I forgot the names, but I don't know much about any of these players, so it's kind of hard for me to examine this NBA draft coming up in the summer. But I obviously the Knicks do need a point guard. Elfrid Payton is not going to be here for long, and he's not anybody you want to build around anyways. And Frank Ntilikina, I think Frank. Listen, I know I'm not one of those fans to call him trash. But at the same time, I don't think Frank is a starting NBA point guard. I think he's a very serviceable player to come off the bench and give you a little bit of defense. Maybe eventually down the line, he can be a guy who scores you 8-9 points and sometimes scores in double figures. But I don't know. It's too questionable, too up in air right now for me to put my faith in Frank Ntilikina as this franchise point guard. I still feel like the Knicks should draft a point guard in this upcoming draft and work from there, because that's where it starts, right? You need a good point guard. You're not going to go anywhere without a point guard. That's very rare in today's game. So we'll see what happens in terms of where they go in the draft. That's a few months down the line. Obviously that might change now, even with the whole thing going on. So that might not even be when it's supposed to be happening. So the whole timeline is screwed up just because of this idiot in China who wants to eat a bat. What? Didn't say that. But no, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I think that's all I have to say tonight. Once again, man, this has been Rob Carbone, your host, Rob Carbone of BD4. Where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis than by tuning into this podcast right here, right now. Listen, guys, I appreciate all the support I'm getting. And, if you haven't subscribed to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis, then be sure to subscribe to it. You can find it on iTunes, Google. I can't say Google properly. Google, Spotify, SoundCloud, Radio Public, Anchor, The video cast is up on YouTube, Pocket Casts, all the different platforms. And you can follow me, my page, Rob Carbone, on Twitter and on Facebook, which is the handle there is at NY Sports Talk RC. And you can also find my page on Instagram at Rob J. Carbone. And to find all these social media platforms and the podcast platforms, just go to my website, my blog called It's My Opinion, which is located at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Find a page called, there's a tab on there called Outlets. Click on that, it'll take you to a page with all those platforms. Once again, that is nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Find the tab called Outlets, and it'll take you to the page where you can find me on every different platform I have. Guys, thank you so much for following along. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Whatever you're doing, I appreciate your time, and you have a great night. This has been Rob Carbone, your host of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Doing episode 89, where we just talked about the Knicks tonight, a little Knicks chat. And that's going to be it. We'll see you when I see you. All right. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and ciao. Hey, we hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that fun stuff. If you want to follow BD4 on all the different platforms we have, all you have to do is go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Once again, that's nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time. Ciao.